Hello and welcome back to my channel. Good morning. If you watch this as soon as I upload it, it's nice and early. I said hello, bright and shiny on the next day. And I also said a little fib. I said it was going to be a combo with last week's episode and this week's episode. I don't think that much happened. After I watched last week's episode, I'm like, I don't think I need to talk about everything that happened in that individually, especially with how silly it is. The only thing I will say is, how did those kids heal that man? I guess the power of friendship healed that man. The bearded guy they saved. How did they heal him? Like, what did he really need? Let's move on. No, because how did four teenagers heal that man? How did they heal him? I'm sorry, I said I wasn't going to talk about it, and then I'm doing it. I'm doing it, aren't I? But I'm just like, that's the only thing from that last week's episode that I was like, how? And he just got up and walked away. And I'm just like, injuries work different in Big Skyland. Ask Jenny and her her gunshot wound. Like people were saying, she was hooking up with what's his name a couple weeks after she was shot. Second of all, okay, let's talk about not Cassie, Jenny and her boy toy, Travis. I wrote his name down. Good for me, Travis. I really thought Travis was gonna die in this episode. There's something like his people caught him, and you know he's doing all this stuff, and he finally said I love you to Jenny. Jenny. I thought, I'm like, you know what? They're gonna kill him off. Like this. I just had an instinct, but my instinct was wrong, and I'm gonna get to how pissed off I am. We're gonna get to the ending. We're gonna talk about the ending in the end, okay? And is this my hair shedding? Yes. And then I'm pissed off about that ending, and we will get to why in a second. But I really thought it was going to be Jenny's little boyfriend that got killed this week, but apparently not. I think they always want to kill somebody. They always have the urge to kill somebody in a winter finale and a season finale. So I'm like, someone's got to die. Who's it going to be? Who they chose was really, really trash. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. I'm talking about it right now, but let me start. So anyway, other than thinking that Travis was going to die, my questions about their relationship were like, does saying I love you make sense? They've literally been like fighting and arguing and banging each other for like a month, 2 months. I'm like, with all the things going on, like, I really don't think that they have a full-blown relationship. So how are they saying I love you? Like, they don't have time to have a full-blown relationship. They just see each other part-time, barely. Like, what do you... I don't understand how they're saying, like, I love you. And I'm like, okay, you know, like, sure. You know, like, at least, like, I think that Jenny. I think Jenny and Travis do have some chemistry. But I'm like, love? I don't know. Whatever. Then it's like she's off the case, then she's back on the case. Like, after hearing that she's sleeping with Travis, he decides the sheriff decides to put her back on the case. Wouldn't that be a reason to not have her on the case? Like, why would that be a reason that you would want to put her in the case? Anyway, I can't. Let's just move on. I'm talking about the most boring things first. Let's start the next section by talking about Scarlett is the worst mom on planet Earth. Okay, mom shaming on this channel continue. I don't in general support mom shaming. In fact, you're probably like, I don't care about this, but my sister is pregnant and someone was criticizing what she was eating. I was like a rabid dog. I'm like, how dare you? You know, like, but like, let's mom shame these fictional characters and get it out of our system for nice, normal people. Scarlett is the worst mom on planet freaking Earth. And she's like, first, she's out here playing Garden of Eden with these people in the middle of nowhere on their goddamn ranch. Second of all, she really sent a murderer and a kidnapper to go get her daughter. Well, at least she knows he's good at kidnapping. Like, what is wrong with this bitch? And then she said, I told him to come back here because I believe your system is working. I'm like, you just met these people out of nowhere. Are you okay? she's not okay. We need some backstory on Scarlett because she's not okay. There's something really, really wrong with her. We know that the Legarsky parents, the Legarsky mom and dad, deserve jail, okay? Because them twins came out effed up, okay? But like, what happened to Scarlett? Because Scarlett's sister seemed kind of normal before she got killed over all her sister's mess. And see, that's why, to a certain extent, like, I love my sisters, but you gotta keep an eye out because they'll be dating some sketchy characters. And you know what? I love you, sis, but I ain't trying to get killed. See, she should have left it alone and left her door locked. That's what Scarlett's sister should have did. But anyway, and then her poor daughter really has to sit in the back of the freaking stolen RV and be like, "Are you a murderer, mister?" You know, like that whole conversation. And he's like, "You want a hamburger?" And she's like, "Are you a killer? Like, are people hunting you? Like, are you on the lam?" You know, like, she didn't say on the lam, but if she knew that term, she would have. Girl, they need to make the daughter a bigger character and have her say some sassy shit. It would be so funny just to see her being like, "I don't understand, mister. Aren't you a killer?" Like, that's... I'm done. I'm so done. Scarlett is so terrible. I just can't. Scarlett is terrible and Ronald is so terrible. I'm gonna get to the ending of this. I'm so pissed off at this ending. I'm like, this ending is cheap. This ending is cheap. And the reason I say that the ending is cheap is because I feel like it was manipulative. Like, so on a show, when things happen, it should feel like, okay, I can see how this happened. It shouldn't feel like the writers did this to make me feel X. And I know that that's what they did with this situation at the very end. Okay, I keep talking about the end, even though I said I'm going to talk about the end later. Okay. So let's talk about T-Lock. T-Lock is a sniveling piece of shit, like always. Like, that's... don't kill me. I'm just like, ugh. And then him going into the... Max, where's the bag? Shut up, T-Lock. You didn't give a crap about what was going on with me until you got scared. Freaking punk. Why don't you skip town and do us all a freaking favor? I hate you. That's what Max needs to get some gumption. I just want Max to cuss out. I just want Max to cuss out T-Lock and her mom. Like, honestly. I swear to God. I swear to God. And then Hat Bitch and her brother. I think her brother being on the show was a little hyped, especially like if you follow her on Instagram. You're like, why are these four having breakfast? She did this little clip. If you don't follow any of the cast on Instagram, if you like the show, I'd say go ahead and do it. But she gave this little behind the scenes. She's like, why are these four people having breakfast together? That's a good question. And then we get to the scene and it was like, meh. Wah, wah, wah. You know, like, it was just like, they're just standing around fucking talking about all of this. Sorry. I don't usually cuss you guys out this much, but it's my vibe right now. They're just standing around freaking talking about this stupid bag of drugs and the money. And this is what I was thinking halfway through the show. I was just like, I'm so tired of this bag of money and bag of drugs. If you are a successful cartel, wouldn't you have lots of bags of money and lots of bags of drugs? Like, you would just get a general sense of who was betraying you and you would move on with your life. You wouldn't be like, I need to chase down this specific bag of drugs and this specific pack of money. Like, you guys should be rich. Like, people are addicted to drugs. People use drugs like that. That whole bag of drugs, like an equal amount, has probably been sold 3 times since the start of this show, since September. So, like, explain to me why we are still talking about the same bag of drugs and the same bag of money. Okay, whatever. You know, like, I understand $100,000 or whatever is nothing to sneeze at, but I'm just like, if y'all are big mafia bosses and stuff, it kind of actually is. Like, it's really like, they should be making that kind of money all the time, especially if they just have it like that, just carrying it around in freaking bags. Whatever, dude. Tiresome. So then, what was her brother's name? Jack? Which one was it? I don't care. Then, can we talk before we get to Cassie, I'm going to close, I guess, the video talking about Cassie. Let's talk about the youths. Let's talk about the teenagers. The funniest part of this episode was when Bridger was, I'm so sorry, not only them healing that man with the power of friendship, but also Bridger being in karate class. I'm so sorry. And he's like, karate instructor, locked doors, call the cops. There's like bad people outside. I know they're trying to come and get me. And the karate teacher is so stupid. He's so dumb. And he's like, I don't lock doors or call cops. I don't call cops or lock doors. Like, I'm a big karate man. I was just like, how embarrassing. Like, as soon as he looked out, a part of me is like, okay, he thinks this is like his high school bullies coming. As soon as you looked out the door as a grown-ass person and you saw other adults coming after a child, wouldn't you lock the fucking door? I'm sorry, but wouldn't you lock the door? Like, if I was in his place and I thought it was like, all right, I'm going to teach my people how to stand up to those bullies, I would do the same thing at first. But as soon as I saw it was two grown people in a freaking murderer van, I'd be like, maybe I should actually lock the door and actually call the cops. Why is Bridger so scared of these people? Let me hear the kid out. And then for Bridger's part, if I was Bridger, I would have just snuck out the back door. As soon as he started acting a fool, I'd be like, good, he's a diversion. Let me sneak out the back. This foolish dojo, he said, you need to take your shoes off in my dojo. And I'm like, are you a fool? Are you a fool? Like, the only innocent person on this show that I wanted to get shot was that man from the dojo. Like, honestly, I was like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? Why would you do that? I don't lock doors or call cops. It was just so funny to me. It was the funniest, dumbest part of the episode. I was like, he deserved it. That the man from the diner, I understand he was kind of caught unawares, but he should have locked the door and called the cops as well. Anyway, then let's move on from the teens. I feel like for a winter finale, even the last two episodes, like putting them together, I'm like, not that much happened to move the plot forward, really. Like, when I'm, like, looking at everything that happened, I'm like, okay. It's like they have so many scenes of so many different people. They're just doing stuff. And it doesn't necessarily, like, play out or matter as we go along. But anyway, so Jerry. So we do get to see some snippets of Jerry. So we are going to see some snippets of Jerry going forward, I guess. Okay. I said in her side adventure. Her side adventure, Adventures in Hospice Living. Not to make light of her mom being sick or whatever. Her terrible, terrible parents. Like, oh no, yeah, we saw in the news you got kidnapped, honey. We were really worried. We didn't call or reach out to you, but now we need your help. Like, I think they're awful, but I think it was cute to see her walk around her childhood home and look at all of her old pictures. I was like, oh, wow. And then, like, I was like, oh, my God, Jerry used to be in a little equestrian. Look at her little horse trophy and her little pictures everywhere riding horses. Precious. And then, like, I was like, oh, look at her day drinking with Dad. Oh. He's like, you want a drink, sweetie? And she's like, okay. Why? Excuse me. And then the dramatic reveal of the mom. I guess they're saving that for the winter premiere. The second half of winter, the late winter reemergence is what they're calling it. I don't know. Let's move on. I feel like sometimes they get, and that's the thing that surprised me about the very end of this episode. I think a lot of times they get like the emotional moments kind of right. They kind of get them right. And like you feel like, oh man, you feel it. This episode, I did feel for Jerry, but this ending pissed me off. So let's talk about Cassie and her dad and everything. First of all, we failed at bump watch because I felt like she wasn't that bumpy in a lot of episodes because they're so clever. She had just a nice, big, flowy wig, and then she has boxy clothes, and so she doesn't, and she's like a naturally really slim woman. So like she was bumping along the whole time. She gave birth last week. She gave birth, was it last week or a couple days ago? I don't remember. But she gave birth. So she was like 9 months pregnant. And these episodes, I'm like, she was doing a lot. She had to be like, let's say they filmed 2 months ago. She had to be like 7 months pregnant. She was really doing a lot. Wow. Anyway, I don't think that I've ever mentioned how much Tanya looks like Marissa Tomei. Or she reminds me of Marissa Tomei. Does anyone else see it? And I'm like, I was going to Google her, like, is she related to Marissa Tomei? No, she's not. Anyway, Lindor. Let's briefly talk about Lindor Truffles. So they kissed. I know they kissed last week and all that. Are we feeling their coupledom? They're fine. I'm not anti them. I'm so mad about the ending of this episode, though, that I'm like, so are we going to have Cassie and Lindor in a relationship when let's just say it, we're deep in the video now, deep into spoilers, her dad dies. So is she going to be wanting to move? This is another reason that she would withdraw and push him away and like go like try to be alone and be like, I can't deal with this. And then who's going to watch her son? And this is who's going to watch her son? Because you never actually see the babysitter babysitting. And the dad is supposed to be, like, when we're watching Cassie, we're supposed to be thinking one of two things. Her dad is with her son or the babysitter is with her son. But, like, lately with them bringing the dad around, I'm like, okay. And then they kill him off, I'm like, okay. And then the babysitter is always getting into trouble, so I'm like, okay. Where's her son at? Honestly, how old is her son? Her son honestly could be part of the teenage gang at this point, running around town. That would be an interesting development. Like if the babysitter was babysitting and like had to bring like the younger son with her while they're like trying to escape murderers and stuff. That would be an interesting episode. But anyway, as soon as Ronald Das was in there sneaking around and the dad was back there, first of all, why is the dad walking around in pitch black? First of all, can I just reenact how he fixed the pipe? There you go. It's fixed. He just is like, here you go. Did the plumbing. And I'm like, wait a second, I thought they were going to fix the boiler. Now, I'm no mechanics expert, but like that random pipe isn't the boiler. That random pipe was on the back of the wall. Am I mistaken? Like that didn't look like it was connected to the boiler. Do I not know what a boiler is? Okay, I'm just going to let it go. I'm like, aren't there special rooms for boilers? That's the extent of my knowledge on boilers. I'm like, shouldn't it be in a boiler room? Aren't they renting that building? Like, don't you usually, like, when those buildings are like all attached to each other, isn't it usually like owned by one person and all of the little shops are renting? So why would the dad be fixing okay. You see how flimsy that shit was? First of all, they brought the dad around the last couple episodes. Because remember, we saw the dad like twice last season. Now he's been in the last like 3 or 4 episodes. And all they won't have him doing is like, he has hopes and dreams to buy a ranch. We're setting him up to be this emotional development. And then we're going to kill him. You know, it's like, you can tell that they just set him up to be killed. Because why? Why would they have that whole situation where they were setting him up, and now he's dead? And then why would he scream when he was about to hit? When he was about to hit him, he's like, "You," or whatever he said, "You bastard," or whatever. And he was like, "Why would you yell? You're the only one out of the two of you with a weapon. So why would you yell as you're about to hit him and he's walking away?" And he's so overconfidently walking away. Why wouldn't you just be like, like as soon as he was walking away, you're just like, bonk, you know, like, hey, why did he yell as he was about to hit him? Why did he do that? Why? It didn't make no damn sense. It made me so mad. As soon as I saw Ronald and there, I was like, he better not kill the dad. And then as soon as they killed the dad 2 minutes later, I was like, I'm pissed off. That was not, it's not cute. It wasn't a good shock. It was like a bad shock. It was cheap. It was a cheap killing. It was cheap because you know that they were just setting him up and bringing him more onto the show to purposely kill him. You could just tell it was manipulative. I feel like on a TV show, this is what I was trying to say. On a show, when things happen, you should just have like an organic reaction. You shouldn't stop and think like, no, you just were building this character up specifically to kill him. Like you shouldn't like see through the writer's intent like that. We shouldn't, no. That was cheap. It was cheap and it was manipulative and I don't like it. And now what are they going to do? I don't care. I'm pissed off. If you made it all the way to the ending of this video, we haven't done an ending thing in a while. If you made it all the way to the end, leave me a tool to help me fix my boiler or my broiler, whichever one. So that's, so leave me. I just thought this was so manipulative. Girl, trash all the way down. That's trash all the way down. Did you? And thank you for all the well wishes on my leg. I'm fine. I mean, I'm getting better. The swelling is going down. I've been taking like this day off so I could heal body, mind, and soul. So thank you for all that. Bye, guys. See you in the next one.